Americans hate paying taxes, right? Wrong. Actually, the Brookings Institute discovered that more than 90% of us here in America agree with the following statement. It is the civic duty of every American to pay their fair share of taxes. So whether you're conservative or liberal, whether you're working class or wealthy, whether you're a union guy or a corporate executive, paying taxes is the price of American citizenship. We like our roads paved, we like our bridges safe, our children well educated. We prefer not to have gangs of roving marauders break into our homes at night or rogue nations invade our country's borders. And taxes take care of those issues. Well, that is, if they're spent well, and we can take issue with some of that, can't we? Our nation's infrastructure is currently rated D-, and our nation's armed forces are 10 times bigger than the next 10 nations combined. So maybe a little bit of balance could be called for in how our tax dollars are spent. Well, you might remember in the city some years ago, there was a woman that everyone called the Queen of Mean. She was the wife of a wealthy Manhattan developer, Leona Helmsley, and she famously stated, "Only little people pay taxes." I think that's me and you. Why is it that we're more incensed about a working family receiving a big tax refund than we are about Amazon paying $0 on the billions that they made last year? My German relations pay a lot more in taxes than we do here in America, about 42%. And what do they get for their money? Well, not many potholes are to be found in Germany. But even better than that, of course, they get guaranteed medical coverage. Everybody gets a month of vacation, even the lowest paid workers. They get a guaranteed family leave when they have a child, free college, and of course an old age pension. That'd never work here in America, wouldn't it? We're about 1 for 5 in comparison to Germany. Well, you might remember not long ago, there was a bartender who had a standing bet with any of his customers. He was a big guy with a huge grip, and he would squeeze a lemon into a glass down to the very last drop. And then he would bet his patrons $1,000 if they could squeeze even one more drop out of that lemon. Well, many tried, all failed, until one day a diminutive-looking guy wearing a polyester suit with thick glasses walked into the bar. "I'd like to take on that bet," he announced in a squeaky voice. And when the laughter died down, the bartender squeezed out the lemon, handed it to the little guy, and said, "Go at it." Well, he took it in his hand, squeezed it, and not just one drop came out, but 6 drops came out. Man, as the crowd erupted in applause, "Man," said the bartender, "what do you do for a living? Are you a weightlifter or a lumberjack or what?" No, the man said, "I just work for the IRS." Well, 2 opposing groups are matching up together this morning to try to take down and take out Jesus. And the subject, of course, is taxes. Is it lawful, they ask him, to pay taxes to the emperor? Of course, this is a trick question. And Jesus is going to be damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. Because if he says, yes, it is lawful, then they'll say, you're supporting a foreign dictator. But if he says, no, it's not lawful, then they'll say, you're a seditionist. You're anti-government. You're an anarchist. So Jesus, instead of choosing A or B, chooses C. Well, even if you slept through Sunday school, you can remember his answer. Whose image is on this coin? And whose picture? And they say Caesar's. And Jesus says, then give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, but give to God what belongs to God. We like binary choices, I think. A or B, black or white, right or wrong, Democrat or Republican. But life doesn't always work out that way, does it? Some years ago, The neo-Nazi Richard Spencer brought his hate speech to the University of Florida, and while there, some of his minions came along with him, and of course, counter-protesters showed up as well. So the police formed a line, an ideological and a preventative line to keep the two groups apart. On one side was hate, on the other was the protesters. On one side was black man, and on the other side was a white man. And there was a neo-Nazi there, and he was yelling racial epithets. But right across from him was a local football coach, Aaron Courtney, and a pastor's son. And Courtney wondered why in the world someone would speak like that. He said, I thought to myself, this man just needs love. So he tried to engage him. He tried to talk to him. He said, what makes you hate me so much? Is it the color of my skin, my history, my dreadlocks? But try as he might, he said he couldn't reach out. He couldn't connect with this man. And finally, he hugged him. The first time he tried, the man resisted. But Aaron said by the third time, he even hugged me back. Aaron said, I heard God whisper in my ear, you just changed his life. Well, whose image is stamped on you? That's a good question for us. Many people have their own image stamped on their own lives. They worship the Holy Trinity of me, myself, and I. And for other people, it's all about work. Who they are is what they do. But more and more people, I think, are discovering that life isn't about accumulating as many things and as much money as possible. That life is more about where you find your meaning. Do you remember that song that Dylan sang years ago? You gotta serve somebody. Didn't it go like this? You might be the ambassador to England or to France. You might like to gamble. You might like to dance. You might be the heavyweight champion of the world. You might be a socialite with a long string of pearls, but you gotta serve somebody. It might be the devil or it might be the Lord, but you gotta serve somebody. These days, it's hard to see the other side, A or B, left or right or wrong. It's hard to see other people with compassion. But if our lives are stamped with the right image, we might find that there is a meaning and a purpose to our lives that is often missing with many folks. So pay to the U.S. government what is due to the U.S. government. But remember this, long after earthly kingdoms rise and fall, your choices, your truth, your life, your love will still matter immensely to God.